According to the Prison Paradox, research found that since 2000, increased use of jails and prisons only accounted for about 0% of the overall reduction in crime. In other words, tons of money is being wasted towards increased incarceration, which just ends in more social issues and less safety. You would assume increased incarcerations would mean safer environments, less crime, and more good citizens after being released, when in reality, the conditions of our jails and prisons often result in a complete opposite. The poor conditions of our prisons put inmates at risk of mental and physical abuse. There are several factors to why our prisons fail at preparing people to return to society successfully. Most prisons are overpopulated, understaffed, ill-equipped, dangerous, and filled with corruption and mistreatment. As prisons expand, many states dust off the intent to rehabilitate, causing educational and rehabilitation programs to be reduced, which in fact lowers violence and reoffense. Imagine all the kids who doesn't get that time with their parents due to their parents being incarcerated so far from home. Many prisons are located far from cities, causing family relationships to be weakened. The locations of prisons are also decrease the chances of appropriate attention paid to inmates due to the lack of resources and treatments available. The violence and structure of our prisons make inmates liable to experience PTSD symptoms like depression, anxiety, and paranoia, or even just a decrease in sense of self-worth and personal value. Solitary confinement plays a huge role in the negative structure of our prisons, tearing down people's dignity with cruel treatment. Without the proper treatment, those same people are most likely to be released and either struggle with society, adapting back to society, or most likely to reoffend and end up back in jail. To make incarceration a successful process, the act of rehabilitation must be reinforced as the main goal rather than punishment. So doing things like remodeling cells and facilities into something more respectable while still protecting them from physical, mental, and sexual abuse, making adequate mental and medical treatment available, placing people in facilities that is actually accessible to their loved ones, and allowing sufficient in-person phone and video visitation. Until reform is made, prisons will continue to be overpopulated. There will continue to be corruption between inmates and staff, as well as increased violence among the inmates. And prisons will continue to fail offenders, and crime will continue to get worse. You could bring awareness to the poor conditions in our prisons by joining, donating, or simply supporting groups like Right on Crime or Books Through Bars. It's also good to learn the rules and guidelines of the justice system to be able to recognize and handle the flaws that our prisons are experiencing. The primary strategy intended to decrease crime is actually increasing crime in a way. Instead of rehabilitation, the inmates often fall victim to mental conflict, mistreatment, which potentially leads them back to committing more crime and less safety.